right?
Capital
Capital
Radio 88.1
Radio.
FM.
Yes, thank you so much, Tico. My name is Bulelani Mzila, and I'm from Pietermaritzburg. I'm a gender non-conforming political activist who has been on this journey of advocating for the marginalized community, especially the LGBTQI community, since 2019. And this was because of an opportunity I got with an American organization called oh my God,
It happens. English does leave the building sometimes.
oh my God, I'm like, what? Victory Institute, yes, they have a whole lot of LGBTI identifying politicians who have ran for office and who are in office now since the Democrats won the election. So they are trying to bring the same wave into South Africa to motivate, encourage LGBTQI persons to get into the political space and actually champion and push for gender diversity and LGBTI political inclusion and foster policies that speak to the LGBTIQ.
Makes a great deal of sense. Do you also hold the view that when the LGBTIQ plus community enters politics, you are going to encroach in a space that's been largely colonized by heterosexuals, and these heterosexuals now fear that when your community is invited in, you are going to decimate them in numbers?
In numbers, I mean, we are already a marginalized community. Like we are the minority when it comes to the general population. Not everybody identifies within the LGBTQI community. So, if you are saying that, like, I truly do not believe it, and if a person believes them, it means that they are transphobic or homophobic, and they should be called out. Okay. And anyway, a wise man once said that um, the oppressed will only realize their freedom or will get their freedom according to the standards of the oppressor. So, of course, as the LGBTIQ community and as a marginalized group of people, our cry within the political space in South Africa will come with dictatorship from those who hold the power.
Makes absolute sense. But if anyone has not seen the army that is the gay pride, they then should know that a storm is actually coming.
Hey,
Now
hey,
tell me,
and
sorry,
and they
continue.
should just they should they should just ally. They should be allies. I think there should be a booklet that will tell a story of how to be an ally and how to become a member, yeah, allyship for the LGBTIQ community. Don't you think?
Definitely. But I think also your community, Alphabet use the LGBTIQ plus. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of myth, there's a lot of stereotyping, and there's also a lot of undeserved xenophobia. Excuse me, not xenophobia, but homophobia. Excuse me.
Homophobia.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of undeserved homophobia because people are of the perception of you rather that you are out to convert and convince everyone to join your community. What do you feel has been the reason that you have not been participating fully in politics?
It is because there hasn't been no representation, and those who are there because somehow they were able to politically strategize or position themselves to get that opportunity. It has never been, I'm here for the LGBTIQ community. It has never been, I'm here to represent the community I come from. And so, in that saying, I think for the generation now, especially our generation, okay, I'm 32 years old. But fairly young. I've never experienced apartheid. I don't know what apartheid looks like or feels like. And of course, even younger people do not even care about it. At least, we, the generation that, saw films, had parents talking about it and stuff and all of those things. But the 2000s do not even want to hear about apartheid. So I think it's really important because we are a free generation. We free millennials, if I may put it that way. So I think it's really important for those who are in position of power to really try to um, learn. I think it's really important. They have to unlearn some things and they have to learn new things. Because, of course, during apartheid, it was a criminal offense to be with a same-sex person, which is a colonial sexist way of trying to impose how people should be and how people should act. So with that being said, I think it's really important for those in power to really give us an ear and really understand where we come from. And yeah, to open up, basically. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you are making sense. And also, I'm not here to judge whether you are or not making sense. I respect every opinion.
Hi,
That's why I say,
Tiko.
hi, can you hear me? I'm saying this is why we always say here on This is Africa that all opinions or perspectives matter. Bulelani, I can hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear me on the other end. Can you hear me?
Shit.
Bulelani, we don't use those words on radio.
Yes.
Your mic is off. Bulelani seems to be a bit excited about the interview and has locked himself out. Please bear with him as he comes back. While we're listening, rather waiting for Bulelani, please have a listen to this song by Burna Boy. It's titled Yay.
This one I got to be the jabata. Me, I no get time, I did da. Dada cover my face, calling me la ba da. Biggie man, we know they wear a ba da. Tell me, my nigga, what's it gon' G-Wagon, all depend.
I apologize once more for phasing the song out. Bulelani is back. We had just minor technical glitches, but we're back to continue with our conversation. Bulelani, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great stuff. Take us through what a political party or a desk within a political party for the LGBTIQ community would look like.
It has to be very inclusive and it has to not have heteronormative standards, or it shouldn't look like a heteronormative structure, if I may put it that way. We are a diverse community. And of course, there have been many cries, especially with the ANC LGBTI desk, that it is under the ANC Women's League. And a whole lot of bisexual, trans, and gay men took offense of it. Would see, why would an LGBTI desk be under an ANC Women's League, So with that being said, there's still much work that political activists who are within the ANC have to do so that the desk is not under the ANC Women's League, but it's a structure of its own. And I haven't heard anything of the EFF in terms of, because they have like a gender desk. I haven't heard them saying anything about including the LGBTIQ community. I haven't seen any political activists who are within the EFF who are advocating for LGBTIQ rights and inclusiveness. Well, with the DA, they have done so much work, and I feel like they can still do more. During the week, we saw that we actually have the first Black member of parliament in Africa who's part of the DA. But in the article, of course, he expresses that he never was in that space because he was LGBTI. But he was there because he had some way of strategizing for him to be positioned into the opportunity for him to get into the parliament. But I was really grateful that he did mention that it is really important that since he is in parliament, he would like to get into the SAPS or safety portfolio so that he is able to advocate for hate crimes. Because if you do know that the hate crimes bill was tabled in parliament but went back because of the elections in 2019, and now it is back. It hasn't been back to parliament to be tabled. So it needs to be tabled because that bill speaks specifically to us, the LGBTIQ community, in that it addresses hate crimes for what they are. Because at the end of the day, homophobia and transphobia is not just being negative or abusing someone with their words, but it can also lead to violence. Because I mean, like Ulindo from Durban, Mlazi, who died last year, even had a knife stuck in his eye. Another lesbian who went through collective rape and her eyes were gouged out. Mlazi Futnakhona. Here in KZN, well, in Durban. So there are a number of cases nationally of the LGBTIQ community facing really, really bad crimes committed against them, and they should be addressed for what they are. They are hate crimes, and the hate crimes bill is the bill that will be able to foster a way to make sure that the LGBTIQ community is wherever they are.
Yes. I noticed when I visited Chicago in 2019 that when I went to the restrooms, you had one for males, exclusively females, and you had a unisex toilet in between. Do you feel that South Africa is still afar off from enjoying such inclusivity, or there are some strides toward that end? Bulelani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Let me repeat the question again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay.
I was saying when I was in Chicago in 2019, I noticed that when I went to the toilet, Bulelani is playing the ducking and diving again. I think wherever Bulelani is, there's a challenge with connectivity. Let me just continue playing Banapo a bit. When Bulelani comes back, I'm going to unfortunately fade again so we can continue with this needful conversation.
Oh, the garden, ride the wind. I know die for nothing. Make you no say anything when you do, they must commend it. I can't come and keep myself. So anything when I do, I try to do my way. I can't come and keep myself. Plenty so far we face. Just to make sure money day. But my people then go say, I know one fight, I know one die, I know one.
Bulelani is trying to be Houdini and is playing the disappearing act on us. Bulelani,
I'm so sorry.
can you remind you that we're not in a public park and you are not Houdini, please? I'm kidding. I was saying when I was in Chicago, I was quite impressed to see that there was an exclusively male, exclusively female, and a unisex toilet. Do you feel that South Africa is still a far off from enjoying such inclusivity?
Yes, it is.
Why do you think so?
Because I actually had a conversation with someone who is working for, communications for the Department of Health
Hmm.
under the MEC's office.
Mhm.
And this person, I don't know if it was a homophobic question or he really wanted to understand, because the question was speaking on gender affirming healthcare and even those inclusive toilets and stuff and all of those things was, then what happens if someone who is transgender,
Mm.
trans female,
Yes.
gets into an accident and ends up in an ambulance and then gets into the ward. And of course, if the people who are helping her see that no, the genitalias are actually of a male,
Mm.
then of course they will classify that person as a male. And then that person wakes up in the ward and realize that they are with other males and they become hysterical,
Yes.
then what would happen to that person? And I'm like, considering their education and where we are and the fight for gender affirming healthcare, that all practitioners must understand the LGBTIQ community for who they are and for what they wish to be and how they wish to be treated is. You'll have to consider the patient's mental capacity to cope with getting better with whatever they're going through and still being traumatized by the fact that they are in a ward with males when they actually identify as female. So for the hospital and staff and everyone, then they need to consider that patient's rights and take that patient to where they want to be. I mean, it is within their right. It is within our constitution that they shouldn't discriminate, because it will be discrimination. They do not want to be in that ward, so therefore they need to be transferred. You
Mm.
know, another question was like, so what if they end up into the females ward and then the females are like, but this person is male?
Yes.
And so all of these questions throw me off, and I'm like, so what do we do in this case? So I guess that case speaks to advocacy, speaks to teaching and affirming healthcare services. And it speaks to universities, it speaks to even the Department of Health on its own, where they are teaching their own nurses to have gender affirming modules that will teach on gender and really help nurses who are getting into the profession to understand that not everybody is A or B, but we are multi-faced and different as people.
Mm.
So with the toilets and stuff and everything, I think because of those questions and all of those things, I think we are still very far from achieving that,
That degree of
unless
inclusivity.
yeah, unless really people are really eager to change and unlearn some things and learn new things.
Mm. How do you receive presumed notions of the LGBTIQ community imposing a policy narrative which may end up being misconstrued as silent or reverse oppression against heterosexuals?
Ish, it is a really important question, and I really do not know where to start with it, but I would like to start with the fact that the laws that we are living under are not ours. They are not African at the end of the day. They were
Mm.
imposed on us. So everything that we say is law, truly speaking, is not ours. So with that being said, we must also remember that homosexuality in Africa has been politicized. just recently, I'm not sure if, Angola passed the law now. It's no longer a criminal offense to, I think, is it Congo? I think it's Congo. They will be having elections very soon.
Mm.
And there was an article that came out. There's a South African organization called the Other Foundation. And that organization is funding an LGBTI organization in Congo. And there were articles, front page articles, saying that the aid for COVID that is coming from the Other Foundation is um, is promoting LGBTIQ people and stuff and everything, and it's demonic and all of those things and stuff and everything.
Mm.
And upon asking an activist who is in that area, actually said that it is because of politics. They want to run away from all the corruption that they have been doing in the country, and they are hiding behind this homosexuality stuff and all of those things. So we have to understand that in the context of South Africa, homosexuality is a political tool to hide things, hide corruption and stuff and all of these things. So yeah.
Recently, when I watch the news, I normally follow international news channels. I love local ones, but I think I'm an international. I noted that in Britain, for example, there was a great degree of skepticism around COVID-19 vaccines. One such eminent skepticism was the fact that some believe that if you inject a person with a vaccine, they have a higher chance of being converted into a homosexual person. And as a result, people are saying, particularly staunch religious communities, and they're now saying, nope, I do not want the jab. I'll just survive. If I don't survive, then it's hasta la vista to me. What do you make of such notions and misconstrued ideas around homosexuality?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it is just people just. I mean, wouldn't the world be better if like there were more LGBTIQ persons? Because I mean, we bring some little sprinkle into the society because we are not abiding to what gender roles and what gender expression must look like, feel like, be like, So, I mean, with in terms of the vaccine changing people into, I mean, that is just a myth, and people should just take it from there. I mean, just if you were my friend, Netiko, it doesn't mean Uti, now that you are my friend, now you are gay. If you like girls, you like girls. I mean, if I like boys, I like boys, and that's it. But we are friends nonetheless, So, like, people have this, it is because of the social construct that we live under. Because we must remember that gender, at the end of the day, is a social construct. Immediately when you are born and you have male organs, then this is how you are supposed to behave, this is how you are supposed to dress, this is how you are supposed to act like, look like, these are the toys that boys use and stuff and all of those things. And immediately when you start showing and expressing differently from how you were born, then it becomes a problem. And society reminds you all the time that, hey, remember that you are like this and you should be acting like that because you were born this way, so I mean, I think being LGBTI will add another different narrative in the context of who we are as African. And I mean, there are a whole lot of things that come out of history of African people who were in who were royalty basically and identified as LGBTIQ. And there are a whole lot of African rituals that include LGBTIQ and stuff and all of those things. And the concept of gender spiritually really doesn't exist if then we look into the context of what spirituality in Africa, you know? So yeah. Actually, by the way, I just found the country. It's not did I say Congo? It's actually Zambia.
It was.
And the article, yeah, the article was on Times of Zambia.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I know about Zambia, and I know also some West as well as East African countries are quite strict in terms of homosexuality, as well as the laws or policy frameworks around the treatment or the identity and existence of such a community. Please tell us a bit about the organization that you founded and the motive behind its founding.
Oh my God.
Bulelani, are you playing the Houdini act again? It seems Bulelani's network keeps cutting.
Okay,
Can you hear me now?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, I can. And I did hear the question.
Please answer the question. Time is
Yeah, I was crossing
slowly
fingers
passing.
that.
Time is fighting against us.
Okay,
Just
cool.
quickly wrap up.
So Isibani Civil Society Forum generally is advocating for political inclusion for the LGBTIQ community, because it is really important for the community to have a political voice and political representation. And hopefully we would like to advocate for inclusive policies that will speak directly to the LGBTIQ community, and not just on safety issues or on health issues, but also on encouraging LGBTIQ persons to get into business and to be prosperous in business and to be offered an opportunity to, grow into those business. Like, for instance, I have a friend now who's doing a learnership with the Department of Agriculture, and as an LGBTIQ person, how possible is it for her to, when the policy for bring back the land, question, what is that policy?
Land expropriation.
Yeah, so for without compensation, we see when it comes to effect, does it include people of the minority, the LGBTIQ community, to give an opportunity to be farmers as well, or even just get land, So it is all those things, and it is really important for those who are in power, who are in a position to share power, or not even share power, but who have a say, to really advocate and include LGBTIQ community, because hayibo siyahlupheka. Ibo, kunzima la ngaphandle. So yeah.
I love the last part where you are expressing the angst as well as the anxiety around the challenges faced by the homosexual community. Now, as a concluding remark, if you were now to be asked to vote for a political party since we're approaching the local government elections, which party would you say, in your own estimation, is the safest to rally behind as a person who identifies themselves as part of the LGBTIQ community? And why do you say so?
Oh my God, why are you putting me on the spot?
Because
oh my God.
For a multitude of the marginalized, and you are essentially a voice that is going to shed light, as also lay the foundation, as it were.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you think I have to answer the question?
No. You can just use it as a reflection. You can generally blanket the issue and say current politics in SA do not accommodate or favor, or they do based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. I'm trying to run away from because there's a whole lot of drama within like political parties with the factions and all of those things. I am with the ANC, and we have really worked hard with the Embrace Diversity political movement, launching the LGBTI desk and actually pushing for the LGBTIQ community within the KZN province, because that has been done nationally. But of course, whenever you approach the LGBTIQ person, it's like, but what has the ANC done for you? And I'm like, of course it hasn't done anything for me. But I'm hoping that it does everything for all of us, because at the end of the day, they are in power and I love challenges. So it challenges me to actually push within the powers that be, push the status quo, and try to really change it. Because I think it's best to hold the bull by its horns. Yeah. And though the work that I've done with Isibani Civil Society Forum, because we had an engagement with different political parties last year, I was surprised that EIFP was really eager to learn and to know more about the LGBTIQ community. So I think there is an atmosphere within political parties of wanting to understand and wanting to know. And it is just for anyone who is within the LGBTIQ community to identify a political party they feel it will best serve them.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. I apologize again. The limitations due to time, as well as us wanting to play more music because we are the more music station, may sometimes force me to cut our interviews short. But I think we've basically touched on the crux of the matter that you represent. We were debating the topic, does gender and politics fuse, or rather is gender political? We've discovered that it actually is, and there's still a long way for South Africa to be an inclusive society that pays little regard to race, color, creed, gender, religion, economic stability, and the likes. Bulelani, I'm going to play you out with a song by Kofi, and it's called Lockdown. And once again, I thank you for taking time to speak with us here at Capital Radio's This is Africa. Do take care and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Enjoy yours too. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Do take care. Bye-bye.